Good morning.
Good morning.
Can we start with team news? First of all, Declan Rice seemed positive at the end of the game. Is he available?
Well, let's see. I think with all the questions I'm going to get, the answer unfortunately is going to be the same. We have another training session in the afternoon. Every hour is going to be very important to see the availability of the players. So after that, we'll decide who travels.
Do you think Mosquera has a chance, or?
That's the one that is more complicated. But again, we had another test today to see where we are with him.
Earlier on this week, you said a matter of days for the likes of Leandro Trossard and William Saliba.
Yeah.
Are you hopeful that they can play a part tomorrow?
Yeah, it is a matter of days with those two, for sure, yeah.
Okay, any other issues you can tell us about?
No, hopefully no more. So, all good.
Can I just ask you and follow up on something you mentioned the other night? You spoke about the fixture schedule. It's 63 hours, less than 63 hours between the time you left the pitch against Brentford and the time you're going to take to the pitch. Is the football calendar more generally getting a bit out of hand, and do you feel that the product at some point is going to suffer?
I don't know. I don't think we have to get to that stage. But the only thing I said is, whenever it is possible to help and give the players an extra day or hours to fulfill the maximum potential, let's do it. That's it. We are ready. We are ready from today for tomorrow's game. That's for sure.
Just on this is the second weekend in a row where it's actually third against first in the Premier League. With regard to Aston Villa, just at this moment in time, would you say that is there a tougher test in the Premier League just now?
Well, for what they've been doing, the way they've been playing and winning matches, certainly is a team that it's in great form, and we know that. We know obviously the manager and the incredible job that he's done there as well. So we know the task tomorrow, but we always take it as an opportunity.
You mentioned the manager and the incredible job you say he's done. Is there extra motivation for him because he managed here and maybe it didn't work out as he would have liked? And does that make this game even harder?
I don't know. I think when you look at Unai, his career and his motivation level everywhere that he's been and the impact that he's done, it's always been remarkable. So I don't know. That's a question for him. But in my opinion, he never needs anything extra. I think he's got enough on himself.
I think the last 3 weeks on a Friday, we've been asking you whether the following week is going to be a statement week. Is it? How important is it? Well, we're here again, but given it is a team like Aston Villa and a team that you may have had a few problems against in the past few seasons, if a victory was to be achieved tomorrow, what kind of statement and message do you think that would send?
That's consistency, again, to perform at the highest level and win another game. And then we will go back to the same question 3 days later in the Champions League and then at the weekend, because that's the nature of the game. And that's exactly how we have to take it every game.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi,
Hello.
Talking about making a statement, of course you played first this weekend before the likes of Manchester City played. If you were to win, what do you think it does for the pressure on your title rivals?
I don't know. Every time you win a game, obviously, you are a little bit closer to your objective, and it's the only thing that we can do. We have to focus on performing, preparing really well for tomorrow. We know the kind of game that we're going to play, and be ready for it to fulfill our potential.
Just going back to Christian Mosquera, what's the nature of his injury?
An ankle. Yeah.
Last weekend we saw you take Ricardo Calafiori off against Chelsea because he was on a yellow card. I know he's got 4 yellows. Is that something that plays into your mind when you're looking at the starting lineup, or is that more of an issue when the game starts?
Both, but and especially the other day against Brentford, and especially with the situation that we had at the end of the game with the backline and the numbers that we have there. But it didn't happen, so good news.
And just finally for me, talking about your backline, and of course I know you've had a couple of defensive injuries. Ollie Watkins has scored 3 Premier League goals this season, but 2 of them, of course, came against Brighton. Unai Emery said that the goals are coming for him. So what kind of a challenge does he pose to your defensive lineup tomorrow? Yeah,
I think the collective threat that they have in terms of how they generate chances and what they do so well, and then obviously the individual quality that they have in front from different players.
Ian, talk.
Hi Mikel, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
I saw Aston Villa win at Brighton this week, and I asked Unai Emery whether his team were title challengers to you, and he said, no, you're the favourites to win the Premier League. Are managers already playing mind games with you?
I don't know. I think each man gives his opinion, and that's it. And we have to respect that, and that's it.
Do you see Aston Villa as being a title challenger?
Well, if they continue, look where they are already. So if they continue what they've been doing, I think any club, any team in that position has chances for sure.
You've built up a really impressive squad here, and we've seen without Saliba and Gabriel in recent weeks that other defenders have come in almost seamlessly and are still winning. Is your squad now in exactly the place you want it to be to go on and win the Premier League and maybe the Champions League this season?
Well, we built that squad that we believe it was the best one to give us the possibility to do it. Is it where I wanted to be? No, because of the injuries that we have. To have a squad means that the player has to be fit and available, because that has a lot of consequences, not only during matches, but as well in the way that we prepare for the week and the options that we have to change and keep the freshness in the team. But certainly very happy with how we dealt with certain situations from the beginning.
Finally, because of that, obviously, we're always mentioning the fixture schedule and the football calendar. Are we either at a point whereby teams, to facilitate being able to play as often as they are with the quality that we want them to produce, going to have either teams having really big squads, like 30 or 40 players, or teams dropping out of one competition or another to make sure they have the space to have a rest?
But hopefully we don't get to that point, and everything is manageable. We all learn from it, and we carry on doing what we're doing.
Alex from BBC.
Hi, Mikel. Sorry if I misunderstood. Just to clarify, Trossard and Saliba, are they going to be available for tomorrow?
A question of dates. So, as I said before, after the training session, we will know more.
And then Mikel Merino, who's done such a good job playing as a striker for you, is there a possibility that even when everyone's fit, he could be an option as a number 9?
Well, I think he has earned at least the thinking behind it for the way he's performing and the impact that he's bringing to the team. So that's a yes.
You said yes there, but does it make you feel that he could excel even further there? We've seen it with Kai Havertz, who when he joined wasn't a traditional number 9, but has grown into the position. Yeah,
and then playing together, those two, even with Victor, it can be with Gavi, and that's things that we have prepared during the summer because of the squad that we have, and so far we haven't been able to do.
Tom, for Glenn.
Hi, Mikel. You rested some players in midweek, and I think some of them that came in did really well. Ben White, we talked a lot about post-match. How difficult is it then when natural and more regular starters come back into the lineup? Those conversations that you have with the player that's clearly done well, that finds themselves back on the bench once again.
Well, we haven't had this situation too many times. I think the problem will be the other one, that you bring somebody in and he doesn't perform, and then the decision is so easy not to play him again. And we are not in that position, which is the position that we want to be in, which is exactly that, to have people in contention, whether it's to start the game or to finish the game, or to play whenever the team needs his qualities. And that's what we have at the moment with every player.
And the injury situation is hopefully improving gradually, and you might be getting some other players back soon. It might get to a point, touch wood, where you actually have to leave some senior players out of a matchday squad entirely. What challenge does that pose as a manager, and those conversations that you have to have with those players that they might not miss out on again?
Well, I hope that we are in that position, and then again we can maintain and decide for the freshness of the team and what is required on that day, what is the best squad to take. A problem that obviously a lot of clubs in this country are very familiar with.
Simon, standard.
Okay, just check quickly with Mosquera. You said it's complicated. Are you worried it could be a serious injury?
No, we need to know because the feeling that we had after the game and yesterday, we need to corroborate with what happens with all the testing that we do today.
Just also on the injuries, how has the sort of rate of injuries you've had, the number of injuries, changed how you look at the January window? Does it make you open to bringing someone in because of the injuries you've had?
No, I mean, we always have to be prepared. I mean, the moment that we have an option to touch the squad, to improve the squad, or to protect the squad, depending on what happens, I think we need to be open for it. And from what is going to happen from here till the window is closed as well is football. So we don't know, but we're certainly going to be alert, and we know where the risk can come in terms of the squad, and be ready just in case we have to do something.
In the same way, can you afford to let anyone go? Because you look at someone like Ethan, who had minutes in that game the other week, someone like Gabby J behind sort of Kai, Victor, Mikel. But can you afford to let players leave in January when you're having these injuries?
Well, at the moment, obviously, we haven't had a situation, as we mentioned before, that players are out of the squad for 3 or 4 weeks in a row. So at the moment, we know that the squad we have we are fulfilling it with the players that are fit. So at the moment, it's very clear that there is no option to do that.
James, Athletic.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
Every week we come and we ask you about different players, different injuries, and yet it hasn't been a kind of core defining narrative of Arsenal's season because of the quality of the results and the performances. Last season was a very difficult season in respect of injuries as well. We lost a lot of big players for long periods of time. I just wonder now, do you reflect on that period as a time where you, the squad, the staff, learned a lot about how to cope with that situation? Is that helping you be stable this season?
Yeah, well, you certainly learn from those situations, and I think looking for solutions and being positive and transmitting that positivity and belief to the team is the main thing, because you cannot do anything about it. We had injuries that are totally uncontrollable, especially the ones that they were long-term last season, and this season a lot of the things happen as well. Learn from the things that we can control as well, and the areas that we can improve. First of all, myself, and then take it as it comes and enjoy the ride. That's it.
And just on Martin, obviously he's one of the players who came back in midweek into the starting 11. What did you think of his performance, and do you think he's in a position now where he's ready to be playing every 3 days like the calendar demands?
Yeah, I think he's certainly capable of doing that once the injury is resolved. I mean, you see his stats, what he did on midweek after 6-7 weeks out. It's incredible. So we just have another player, another top player that gives us a lot, gives us something different to what we have in those positions. So very happy to have him.
Okay, finally, that's live to Harry.
Hi, Mikel. With the fixture schedule the way it is, we always talk about rotation. That seems to be a really common conversation. You haven't been able to rotate in recent seasons. How have you adapted to having obviously more options available given the bigger squad? And how have you changed as a manager in terms of just being more maybe open-minded to that now that it's an option?
Well, great. I think it's something that I haven't experienced much, especially through long periods of time since I've been here, and it's great before the game. It's great because you can think about different ways, different relationships. You can accommodate players for the game that you expect to play. And what is great is that when you look at the bench and you said, now we can change the game. Or last year when we were from February to May, look there and we had 2 players, really. So that's a huge difference.
Let's get back to those 2 most informed teams in the Premier League right now. Fun one coming up, Aston Villa and Arsenal. First thing on Saturday, Danny, your lead thought with this match?
It's without question the game of the weekend. I think Aston Villa, they're in great form. We've already seen the midweek result that they got at Brighton, coming from 2-0 down, going and then winning the game. You look at Watkins now back in the goals. And I think they're in a really good spot at the moment. 6 points behind Arsenal, can obviously half that to 3. And then I think you also have to talk about the injuries that Arsenal potentially have at the back as well. But it's going to be a really tough game for Arsenal.
I think the form of Ollie Watkins is what stands out to me, because he mentioned it after the game midweek. He knows he wasn't scoring; it wasn't lost on him, and he's a proud striker. So for him to get the brace is worrying for Arsenal, given their defensive injuries. Mascara goes off midweek. We don't know what that is. We know Gabriel is going to be out for a little bit. So that he's a tough challenge for even the best of center backs. The good news for Arsenal is they're getting some of their attacking injuries back to full fitness, and they can chop and change. Mikel Merino scoring the goals, which is a big thing. Look, I just think that I give Unai Emery so much credit for him to, they're 3rd in the Premier League. I don't know where they came from. I mean, for them to be in the form that they are and just to quietly go about their business. Why I think it's going to be a good game of football is because Villa play one way. They will press you. They're not afraid to use the ball. They'll do it home and away. They have a pattern and a flow that, yes, it wasn't clicking early on, but they found that form and they go really strong.
It's certainly clicking right now. They've won 8 of their last 9, and they're at home. I know it's against the league leaders, but is it crazy to think of them as favorites on Saturday?
Oh, I think it's I wouldn't put them as favourites, but I think that it is very close. They've already beaten Manchester City at home. And I go back to what Tim said. You look at Arsenal defensively. That is the concern. So from my perspective, when you're in a centre-back partnership, and it's great, you know who's playing alongside you, you know how that person works, you know the strengths, you know the weaknesses. But then from your side of things, Tim, if you're used to playing, for example, you have Gabriel and Saliba constantly in front of you, all of a sudden that gets changed and then maybe an injury makes it change again. Would it affect you as a goalkeeper?
Well, it puts more pressure on you as a goalkeeper to get it right. They like to play out of the back. We know that with David Raya. So his communication, his ability to get these guys on the same page quickly. They have good pieces that they can play at the center back position. It's just not they're not in sync. I don't think that that Villa are favorites by any stretch, but I do know that when Arsenal get on that bus and go up the road to Birmingham, they'll be thinking, this isn't a game that we really, really fancy. The crowd will be right up for it at Villa Park. We know the Villa players will, so it'll be a really tough game. I still have Arsenal just tilting it, but it's going to be tight.
Mikel Arteta has made it clear that Arsenal will need to unleash their complete player against Bayern Munich. The Gunners host the German champions at the Emirates Stadium on Wednesday, and one man in particular could be decisive. Ebereki Eze, described as a very complete player by teammate Mikel Merino, is emerging as one of Arsenal's most dangerous weapons ahead of their Champions League clash with Bayern. The 27-year-old announced himself in North London with a stunning hat-trick in his first derby since arriving in a £67.5 million move from Crystal Palace. His 3 brilliant goals dismantled Tottenham, and truthfully, he could have scored even more. Merino believes every one of Arsenal's 8 summer signings has lifted the squad's level, helping the team build a 6-point lead at the top of the Premier League. But Wednesday's matchup is different. Bayern Munich, the reigning Bundesliga champions, represent the toughest test yet for Arteta's side. Speaking after the win over Spurs, Merino praised Eze's qualities and hinted at the impact he could have in such a high-stakes European battle. "We've brought in a lot of players who can make a difference. But you can see that other teams have spent big as well," the Spain international said. "Individual brilliance can win matches, sure, but in the end, it's the team that matters. If you have great players who don't connect, that's a problem." The good thing about this group is that everyone thinks about the team first. When asked about Eze specifically, Merino didn't hesitate. "I think he's incredibly complete. He can dribble, he can pass, and his technical quality is outstanding. In Spain, we always talk about players who can connect with others. He has that naturally. He grew up with that instinct to link play, move the ball, and build relationships on the pitch. He also has the mindset to get involved, demand the ball, and influence the game. At the same time, he's strong, he can take players on, and he can finish. He's a truly complete signing." Merino also touched on how the modern game often reduces players to simple numbers. "These days everyone judges players by goals and assists, that's just how it is. But as footballers, we see the deeper qualities he brings, the technique, the movement, the intelligence. Even in training, you can tell immediately how special he is. Yes, he's scoring goals, but he's much more than that. He's an exceptional player, and we're incredibly lucky to have him. He can play in several positions and adapt to different systems. He's been a huge addition for Arsenal." Beyond the technical qualities, Merino believes Eze's attitude, and the healthy competition within the squad, will be crucial in Arsenal's title push. You can hear the calm in Ebereki's voice and see it in the way he carries himself. He's confident, grounded, and every morning we sit together in the sauna at the training ground and talk about everything, he added with a smile. "He's a great guy, already fully integrated, and we need players like him. Competition is fierce. There's so much quality in this squad. That's exactly what the manager wanted, as many top players as possible, all ready to play. It makes his decisions tough, choosing who starts and who doesn't, but it also pushes every one of us to give our best in every session. And that's why we're improving as a team." As Arsenal prepare for Bayern's arrival, Arteta is facing one of the most delicate balancing acts of the season. The squad is healthy, competition is fierce, and expectations have never been higher. But behind the scenes, there is a growing sense that Eze's versatility and calm presence may be essential against a Bayern side known for controlling the tempo in big European nights. Arteta himself has hinted at Eze's importance without naming him directly. After the Tottenham victory, the manager spoke about the need for players who can break pressure, dictate rhythm, and stay composed when the game becomes chaotic. Those inside the club believe those comments were aimed at Eze as much as anyone. The coaching staff has been particularly impressed by how quickly he has adapted to Arsenal's positional play structure, a system that demands far more tactical discipline than what he was used to at Crystal Palace. Analysts at the club point to his growing influence not only in the final third, but also in build-up phases, where his ability to glide past pressure could help Arsenal bypass Bayern's aggressive midfield line. There is also an awareness that Bayern's fullbacks tend to push high, leaving spaces between the lines. Iza's skill set, sharp turns, deceptive acceleration, and precise final balls, could be exactly what Arteta needs to exploit those gaps. Outside the club, pundits have already started circling Wednesday's match as a defining moment for the £67.5 million signing. Some believe that if Iza can impose himself on a Champions League quarter-final against Bayern Munich, it will confirm his arrival among Europe's elite creative players. Former players have echoed that sentiment. Several ex-Arsenal figures, speaking on television over the weekend, highlighted the need for someone who can change the temperature of the match with a moment of calm or an unexpected burst of creativity. Iza, they argued, is one of the few in the squad capable of both. Meanwhile, Bayern Munich come into the match with their own confidence. Their midfield trio has been one of the most dominant in Europe this season, and they have shown a repeated ability to suffocate opponents early. That dynamic is precisely why Arteta may lean on Iza's composure. When the game tightens, Arsenal will need a player capable of slowing it down, protecting the ball, and finding solutions in tight spaces. Within Arsenal's dressing room, Mourinho's praise reflects a broader consensus. Senior players have reportedly been struck by Iza's humility and work ethic, qualities that have helped him integrate seamlessly into a squad that already had strong internal chemistry. Staff members describe him as someone who never forces the game, and lets the match come to him, characteristics that could prove invaluable in a high-tension Champions League tie. As kickoff approaches, the narrative surrounding the match has shifted. What began as a test of Arsenal's resilience has quietly become a spotlight on whether Iza can elevate them in Europe the same way he has in the Premier League. For Arteta, the equation is simple. If Arsenal are to overcome Bayern, they will need more than intensity. They will need control. They will need creativity. And increasingly, they will need the completeness Iza brings to every phase of the pitch. Whether he starts in a wide role as a floating midfielder, or even as an interior playmaker, the expectation is the same. Iza will have to find the spaces others cannot, and influence the game in ways that statistics alone will not capture. The stakes are high, the opponent is formidable, and the spotlight is intense. But within the walls of London Coney, the belief is growing that this is exactly the kind of stage Ebereki Iza was signed for. Martin Odegaard is nearing a return to action after suffering a medial collateral ligament injury in Arsenal's 2-0 win over West Ham earlier in October. Yet, 3.5 years after Mikel Arteta named him captain, the Norwegian finds himself in an unfamiliar position. His place in the starting lineup is no longer guaranteed. For the first time since joining the club permanently from Real Madrid in August 2021, there is real debate over whether he remains an automatic choice for Arteta's 11. Odegaard, now 26, has been central to Arsenal's resurgence under Arteta, the conductor who shaped the team's rhythm through some of their most fluid football. But this season, the Gunners have been forced to navigate long stretches without their captain, first due to a shoulder issue that kept him out of 4 matches in September, and then because of the knee collision with West Ham's Crescencio Somerville that sidelined him again. And during his absence, something significant happened. Ebereki Iza stepped into the spotlight. Iza's sensational hat-trick in the North London Derby has complicated the picture. Now thriving in a central role, the England international has given Arsenal a different kind of presence around the edge of the box. A blend of unpredictability, directness, and two-footed confidence that opponents struggle to contain. He may not control games with the same metronomic precision as Odegaard, but he offers a spark, a willingness to take risks at moments when Arsenal need a jolt of creativity. After such a standout performance against Tottenham, it feels almost impossible to imagine Arteta leaving Iza out. The manager has always had a soft spot for players riding a wave of confidence, and Iza is currently surfing at full height. There was a similar situation back in September, when Mikel Merino was handed a start against Manchester City after scoring 4 times in 2 games for Spain, including a hat-trick against Turkey. Arteta doesn't hesitate to reward form. Iza has carried that form onto the international stage as well, recently scoring a stunning goal for England in a 2-0 win over Serbia in the World Cup qualifiers at Wembley. Though he can play on the left, it has always been clear that Arteta brought him to the Emirates to operate in midfield. And with Declan Rice and Martin Zubamendi near untouchable in the double pivot, the odds of Iza and Odegaard consistently starting together seem slim. That leaves Odegaard in an unfamiliar position. He needs minutes to rebuild sharpness, yet Arsenal's medical team won't rush him. The plan is likely to ease him back through short substitute appearances before restoring him to larger roles. But even once fully fit, Odegaard faces genuine competition, because ease has shifted the landscape. His arrival has raised the team's ceiling, and his performances have earned him the right to keep his place. Before the dismantling of Tottenham, Ease had scored only twice for Arsenal, one against Port Vale in the Carabao Cup and another versus his former club Crystal Palace, a clever finish that sealed victory. Now, with 5 goals across all competitions, he sits just one behind Odegaard's total from last season, when the captain made 45 appearances. Odegaard's 2023-24 numbers were outstanding: 11 goals, 12 assists, influence written across every competition. That is the standard he must match again if he wants to reclaim his spot, because Ease is hungry, confident, and eager to impress ahead of next summer's World Cup. Arteta will insist that Arsenal need both players at their best if they are to meet their ambitions in the months ahead. And with Kai Havertz also working his way back to full fitness, potentially slotting into midfield behind marquee striker Victor Gyökeres, the battle for places has never been fiercer at the Emirates. For Odegaard, the message is clear: he must rise to the challenge. His leadership and quality remain unquestioned, but he can no longer rely on reputation alone. If he embraces the competition and fights his way back into the side, his return could push Arsenal to even greater heights. And if the team has already reached this level without several key figures, the potential for what comes next may be even greater. Inside the club, staff members are quietly acknowledging that Arsenal are entering a new phase, one where no player, not even the captain, is immune to tactical evolution. Arteta has spent the past 2 seasons building a squad capable of sustaining pressure across multiple competitions, and the emergence of Ease is a sign that the manager's long-term planning is beginning to bear fruit. Depth is no longer a luxury, it is a necessity. But with depth comes difficult decisions. Arteta has always valued balance in midfield, and the contrasting profiles of Odegaard and Ease force him to reconsider what type of midfield best suits the team's ambitions in Europe and the Premier League. The technical control and spatial awareness that Odegaard brings have defined Arsenal's identity under Arteta. Conversely, Ease's dynamism, physical presence, and unpredictable touches give Arsenal a new dimension, especially against teams that sit deep or defend aggressively in central areas. This internal shift has also caught the attention of analysts and former players. Several pundits have begun to question whether the captaincy should guarantee a place in the lineup, especially at a club with ambitions of challenging for the Champions League. Others argue that Odegaard's leadership is too valuable to sideline, pointing to the standards he sets in training and his influence over younger players. Those debates are already spilling into the media, and they will only intensify as the season progresses. There is also the tactical question of whether Arteta might eventually experiment with a system that accommodates both Ease and Odegaard, something he briefly attempted earlier in the season during the win over West Ham. But with Rice and Zubimendi forming an almost impenetrable midfield pairing, any reshuffle risks destabilizing the defensive structure that has made Arsenal one of the most resilient teams in the league. The manager has hinted that he is open to adjustments, but only if they enhance the team's overall cohesion. For Odegaard himself, the challenge is as much psychological as it is physical. He has worked hard to cultivate an image of calm authority, a leader who raises the level of those around him through clarity and consistency. Now he must show that he can adapt, compete, and respond to adversity. His teammates still speak of him with admiration, describing him as one of the most studious and detail-oriented players at London Coney. They believe that once he regains full rhythm, he will naturally reassert his influence. Yet even they acknowledge that the landscape has shifted. One senior player privately remarked that, "The team is different now, Ease has changed what we can do in the final third." That sentiment reflects not a lack of faith in Odegaard, but an understanding that Arsenal have evolved while he has been sidelined. For Arteta, the ideal scenario is straightforward: a fully fit Odegaard competing with a fully confident Ease, creating a level of internal competition that lifts the entire squad. The manager often speaks about the need for healthy tension among his players, pressure that keeps standards high without fracturing unity. The arrival of Victor Gyökeres, combined with the recovery of Havertz, only amplifies that dynamic. Arsenal's season will almost certainly hinge on these midfield decisions. With Champions League knockout matches approaching and the Premier League title race tightening, Arteta must decide not only who starts, but what kind of identity he wants his team to carry into the defining months of the campaign. The next few weeks will reveal whether Odegaard's return sparks a resurgence or a battle for relevance. If he manages to reclaim his place, it could serve as a reminder of why Arteta trusted him with the armband in the first place. If he struggles, it will underline how rapidly Arsenal are progressing, and how little room there is for sentiment at the highest level. Either way, the captain's response will shape not just his future, but the trajectory of a team that believes it is on the brink of something significant.